Our Claman Countdown team caught this scene just a few hours ago. Hollywood stars Michael Imperioli and Steve Schirripa, along with others, on strike in front of Paramount headquarters in New York City's Times Square. The Sopranos actors joining thousands across the nation, picketing the studios, represented by the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which failed to reach an agreement with SAG-AFTRA, the actors' union. At issue, among a whole bunch of things, higher wages, streaming residuals, and artificial intelligence, AI use of actors' images. So with Hollywood plagued by historic tandem strike, with both actors and writers on the picket lines, what is one of the top names in comedy not just saying about this, but doing about it? In a Fox Business exclusive, Rob Schneider, the actor and comedian best known for his work on Saturday Night Live, Benchwarmers, Grown Ups, The Hot Chick, Deuce Bigalow, joins us live. Rob, let's get to it here. Your gut reaction, you've got pickets here, you've got pickets across the nation. What do you think?
Well, I think that we're not talking about anything but trying to give actors, and I'm talking about your base actors, your background actors, a chance to make a living, continue to make a living. You're talking about their average salary is less than $27,000 a year. I mean, try to live in Los Angeles. Try to live anywhere on that. I mean, it's going to turn this business into just what is happening. It's hobbyists, you know, and it's happening. And unfortunately, the Writers Guild is in a similar situation where you have companies that are very good companies like Netflix has provided and opened up a gigantic explosion of content. However, some of their dealings, and Ted Sarandos is a very good, decent man. I like him a lot. I know him personally,
of Netflix.
And
yep.
I really appreciate, yes, and the CEO of Netflix, co-CEO. And but what we're dealing with is when they offer writers like a 4-episode with an open-ended, we don't know when they're going to pick it up. They can't make a living on 4 episodes, and then it's like they have to have a strict amount of time to when you could pick something up. And the same thing goes with actors. I mean, we're talking about, again, the ability to continue and eat and sleep indoors. Now, yes, you know, I know Bob Iger, I feel sorry for you and your $27,000 a day that you're making, but you're not. Talk about not being realistic. You're not being realistic. This is an industry that requires human beings to be creative, to be on the ground, and to show up. And if you don't have that, you don't have anything. You don't have your $27,000 a day, Bob Iger. So I think that was, while that was honest, and it's weird to get a completely honest thought from a CEO. I think he was being unguarded and didn't realize that was going to make the news.
Specifically,
but that was really cold and calculated.
Let me just say specifically what he said to David Faber at CNBC. He said that actors are not being realistic. This is the worst possible time to add disruption to the industry because we're emerging from COVID. Well, personally, I don't know when a better time is. There's never a good time for this. So clearly, yeah, maybe he was unguarded.
But Disney has made, well, maybe Disney has made some critical errors in what content they've made in going woke and upsetting their base. Maybe that's something that they can look at. But as far as putting that on the back of actors and saying we're no longer going to be able to pay you, and again, I'm not talking about the Matthew McConaughey's, I'm not talking about the Rob Schneiders, I'm not talking about people who've been able to make a very good living at it, the Steve Schirripas. I'm talking about your average working actor. And one of the things that they're, you know, when you get down to AI, what the AMPT wants to do is take an actor's image and capture that and then use that in the rest of the series. That is what they say. They say, no, we're just going to use it for the show. But who do you know? I mean, how do you know that they're not going to just change it and alter it? And then that actor goes from not being able to even have the opportunity to make a living in this business. Yeah, so that's what we're really talking about. Sure. We're talking about the people on the ground showing up every day, being part of a support to a studio system, and not getting a chance to make a living. I mean, that is a really tough.
On the streaming
issue. How much lower can we go?
The streaming residuals issue, where if they rerun your stuff that you have on the streamers, you guys don't really get residuals. At least that's what you're trying to solidify in a new contract. Back to Ted Sarandos.
We do get residuals, Liz.
Go ahead.
We do get residuals. I got a 27-cent check the other day, and I would just prefer that Netflix send me a stamp. Give me the stamp, and then I'll take the stamp, and then I can do something with that. The 26-cent thing, I mean, literally, I used to take a 1-cent check, and I would literally just nail it on the wall and go, look at that. You know, and look, Netflix is a great company, and Ted Sarandos is a great guy, but they need to break it off. They need to not be part of the rest of the producing group and make a deal with the union. And Ted, you're a great man, and I want you to do it. And yes, there is the criteria that our union is asking for may not be perfect, and it isn't. I don't think you can just go and look at social media and take a number that they're saying. I don't think that works. But I do think that there can be some actual profit sharing, and I do think you can actually just raise up enough salaries so that, again, that the people can have a chance to make a living.
Let me tell you what we're seeing on the screen.
That's what we're talking about.
This is an Instagram post by Mr. Vanderbeek, the actor from, Dawson's Creek, James Vanderbeek, and he said losing this strike could mark the end of the acting profession. Do you think it's going to come to that?
No, I don't think. But what we're talking about is the end of the ability to make a decent living at this, whereas we're going to turn it into a bunch of hobbyists. What do I mean by that? I mean your core group of actors who have a chance to make a living, they've been able to make it through residuals. And all of a sudden, and this is part of our own union's fault, was that they decided and they leveraged it away. The residuals pre-1998. And I'm on the board of, I was on the board until very recently, and then suspiciously taken off of the Screen Actors Guild National Board. Right. But they traded these things away. You can't keep trading away what you're taking care of your members. This is the most famous union in the world, and it is very possible that the producers could break this union and turn it into, and then you're out. And then you have what you've done is you're taking your table. One of the legs of your table is the writers union, writers. The other leg is actors. The other is crew, and it's producers. If you take away one of your legs, the writers or the actors, and you destroy their ability to continue to make a living, then the table's going to collapse.
Really quickly.
And the producers know that.
Really quickly, because we've got to run. But, Rob, when we talk about what you say and what you do, you're actually running for a seat on the national board of SAG-AFTRA. What would you do differently, if anything at all, from Fran Drescher, who is the president of SAG, Screen Actors Guild?
Well, respectfully, Liz, if I do go into that, then you have to have other people come in as a fair political side. And I've been told by the union to not mention specific things, because then you're going to have to, you'll open yourself up to tomorrow having other people on. I will say that what I want to do is what our union wants to do, and I can speak to that, is to continue to offer a real chance to make a living. We're not guaranteeing it, but we're going to give a chance that if you do work, you get compensated for your work. And that's all we want. And so does the Writers Guild. We want to be able to have a fair contract so that the writers can get compensated for their work and not get held out forever, and so they can't make a living at writing. My buddy Dan Graney was filling me in on that from the Writers Guild, the great writer for The Simpsons, which is a terrific show for 30 years. Sure. And then you have, on our actors side, we have to give our most basic. We're not talking about Matthew McConaughey, we're not talking about me, and I don't mean to pick on him at all, but I'm talking about the average actor getting a chance to show up, not have their image taken and used without being compensated. That's real.
Agreed.
And used over and over again.
Well, listen, we want you back. And by the way, Fran Drescher always invited on this show. We're covering the story from a business standpoint. All the studio chiefs are invited. Okay. Rob, it's great to have your perspective. Thank you. And by the way, make sure to catch Rob's show that he is, streaming right on Fox Nation. Rob Schneider, Woke Up in America, available now. Check it out.